Hi, welcome everybody. I am so excited to be here at the QPI National Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana, and really excited to bring to you Karina Piercy, birth parent, and Sarah Peacock, foster parent, to talk to you a little bit about their experience of co-parenting and working together, and they have just got a great story to tell. So I am Lora Diaz. I work with QPI in the Just In Time training program, and we're just really thrilled to be able to share these informational videos with you and experiences that people that are really living this QPI philosophy of co-parenting, what they're actually doing. So I'm going to go ahead and just let them introduce themselves and kind of give you an idea of how they got started on their co-parenting journey.
So my name is Sarah Peacock. I've been a foster parent since January of 2016. And we, of course, were placed in May of 2016 with Karina's son, Bryson. And so our relationship, I think, started in the beginning when so let me back up. In the beginning, we were asked to adopt Bryson. That was one of the first things we were asked when we took custody of him. We were 6 months, he was 6 months into it, and we were told that Mom had relapsed and was still in her substance abuse, and that they wanted to know if we would adopt him. And of course we said yes, we would be willing to adopt him. So in the beginning, that's where ours started at, was with that process. And then about 6 weeks after that, we wanted to take him on vacation with us. And by that time, Mom had been saved from her addiction and was coming around. She was visiting with him consistently, and things kind of started to turn around a little bit. We wanted to take him on vacation, so we called the case manager and asked the case manager if she would allow us to take him on vacation. In turn, the case manager called Mom, and Mom said, yes, if you wouldn't mind having them call me when they get up there. So it was around that time that Karina had actually placed a note in a diaper bag at one of the visitations that said, hey, my name is Karina Piercy, and I'm Bryson's mom, and if you would call me, I would really appreciate it. And that's all that was on the note. It took me a couple weeks, I think, maybe a week, and I called her, and our relationship really started from there. Our relationship started from a note that she placed in the diaper bag. We started talking weekly. I told her I would call her every Wednesday morning on my way to work. And then it just kind of, I think after we got back from vacation, it kind of grew from there. And we're going on 2 years on a relationship now. I mean, May will be 2 years that we've really grown that relationship. It hasn't come without struggles. It hasn't come, I mean, if you think about the best way I can explain it, if you really think about a marriage, or a mother and a father, I mean, it doesn't come without struggles. And we've had those same struggles, and we've looked at each other. I look at her as a sister, and when I started to look at her as a sister, it changed my perspective on things. I mean, failure's not an option. I mean, she's, and I know I did skip a lot of stuff in between there, but that's how our relationship really started, and I feel like that's how our relationship has grown from my perspective.
Okay, so Karina, could you tell us a little bit about how you felt? Just to hear Sarah talking about this and going back in time about them talking about your son getting adopted, and then what led you to reaching out to Sarah to, start communication about Bryson.
Sure. For me, it was, well, I started with drug addiction when I was 12 years old. And when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I quit everything. So I was doing well for 10 years. And then I had my relapse, which I can't even remember when it was, to tell you the truth. When I had that relapse, I got pregnant with Bryson during that sickness. And I was pregnant with Bryson for 6 months. I was on the methadone program, I was pregnant with him for 6 months, and I had relapsed. That's when I had lost hope. So in April, when I had gotten sober, I didn't know what to do. So I was in recovery for a week, and I had gotten pregnant with Bryson's brother, Connor. So that is when, for me, I knew the fight was on. You know, when I placed the note in Sarah's bag, it was maybe like the second time I think I had seen Bryson while he was under her care. And I just knew that I needed to know who my son was with. You know, it was just something that I needed to know. And I was actually in the middle, I have a CPP, which is a child parent psychotherapist, and they actually work with you on how you're bonding with your child, and they counsel you and things that you're struggling with as well. And so she had, I had asked her, you know, I would like to do this, you know, what do you think? And Bryson was there with us, and she was like, I think it's a great idea that you do that. So I wrote it there with her, and we put it in the bag. And I hadn't heard anything until the trip. Our FFN worker called me and asked me if it would be okay about the trip, and I was like, sure, you know, but can you have her to call me? You know, because I really wanted to talk to Sarah. She might have reached out to me before, but that to me is when it started, because about 2 or 3 weeks out, she gave me her phone number, and that to me was huge. I mean, it was, and I told her that. I was like, you know, you trust me to give me your number? You know, because I know she always says I hate the word boundaries, but I respected their boundaries. Do you know what I mean? And the safety that they were providing for my son. But I will say, when I had first seen Sarah and Bryson, we had a doctor's appointment together. The first time we met each other, we had a conflict. Not like a big one, but I mean, we did. We did. And I mean, it hasn't been easy, but it was her telling me how she felt about whatever that caused her to, you know what I mean? So the whole thing with communication, you know, really started us to have what we have right now. Absolutely. And when it came down to, I feel the same way. It's Bryson. You know, Bryson's the one that started this relationship. You know, I mean, I do love Sarah like a sister. I really do. She and I, we just like butt heads like crazy, but I mean, it's great. I mean, I'm her neighbor now. I moved to be closer to her so Bryson could be with her.
Wow,
so it's just
fantastic.
a blessing.
It is. I think she hit it on the head with the communication too, and it's just like that openness and that transparency between both of us. We do butt heads, but I don't know of a sisterhood that doesn't.
Right.
Who knows of sisters or a family that doesn't butt heads? I mean, at one point in time or another. And I think that's when it really set with me that I'm like, this is forever. This is not something that's going away. I don't care how mad she gets at me. I don't care how mad I get at her. We're sisters, and nothing's breaking that bond. And, you know, Bryson, you know, initially, I mean, we fell in love with Bryson, and we loved him. But in the end, we really fell in love with the whole family. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, her children call us Aunt Sarah and Uncle Travis, and I wish my husband could have been here because he was a vital and intricate part of all of this as well. A very big part of all of this, and he's starting to even fill those roles even more with Bryson and Connor's dad coming through his rehab and through his journey and his, you know, so, I mean, my husband's, you know, really being able to whereas me and Karina have that sisterhood, she does look at my husband as a brother. She does. And she knows that he's always there. But for him to be able to reach out to Brian and have a little bit of that relationship with Brian is huge as well. You know, because our families are our families together. I mean, all of us together, including Brian. So I think that's, you know, being able to communicate with each other was huge. And we didn't always do the best.
No.
We don't always do the best at communicating, but we do the best that we can.
Yeah.
With telling each other, we do a lot of the reflective listening. So, and that, you know, this is what I'm hearing you say to me. and then me saying, well, no, that's not what I'm saying, or her saying, no, that's not what I'm saying this way, because we are two very different people. We are two very different people, but we both have a common goal, and that is her family being a whole with our family now.
Yes.
With our family
One
now.
big happy family,
Yes,
right?
Yes, but I mean, her family being a whole, and so there's times where, you know, sisters aren't always, you know, she knows that I'm there all the time. I love her dearly, and I'd do anything for her. But sometimes that includes having those hard conversations, and her having those hard conversations with me, even, you know, and being able to, you know, help me with that.
What would you both say to a potential like foster parent and birth parent that are just starting their relationship together, maybe just took placement of the child, and they both have maybe some fears of starting co-parenting and working together? What would you say to them?
I would say to, first and foremost, you need to put yourself out there for them. You know, and I'm not saying, you know, saying introduce yourself, you know, try to reach out, use your FFN worker, use whomever and whatever access you can to reach out to them. But you know, a lot of parents, the biological parents, they don't have the desire to even get their children back, or they don't have the mental capacity to do so, or you know, there's different situations. But that is the main thing. I mean, is to reach out to them, let them know, they need to know everything about your child. Everything. I did this when I was pregnant with my son. This occurred to me. You know, these things happen that may affect him, and you need to know this. Definitely.
I think being open is the biggest thing. Being open, being honest. Karina has always been very, very honest with us from the very beginning. Make it about the child. This is not about me. This was not about her. This was about Bryson. First and foremost, it was Bryson, and then it led to other things after that. But in the initial, it was all about Bryson. For the birth parents, you know, my advice would be, don't criticize the foster parents all the time, because we're human as well. We're human. We're not perfect. Against everybody's popular belief, like, foster parents we're parents. We really are. We're just parents that are willing to stand in and care for these children until the birth parents are well enough to safely take them right back, or if should it need be to adopt them or move them to an adoptive placement. Like, we are human, and so, you know, take it easy on us sometimes in that aspect of it. And for the birth parents, you know, or for the foster parents, don't take everything so personal. Be open to hearing what they have to say, and ask them, because she's the expert on her child. I don't care how long she's had him. She's the expert on her child. So tell me about your child. Tell me anything that you can tell me that would help me with him. You know, be willing to go to dinner with them. Be willing to get to know them as you would get to know a friend, if it's safe. You know, and we know that. Like, we realize that it's a case-by-case basis. It doesn't always happen that way. But in the event that the birth parent does present themselves that way, you know, the one thing I can say is Karina has always, from the very beginning, she has always respected my time and our time. She's respected our time as a family. She's respected my time as a working mom. She has always respected my time, and I have always loved her for that. She's never said, you should do this for my child, or you should do that for my child. It was always, Sarah, you need to take time for yourself. You need to take time. So I think just a respect. I mean, just a matter of courteous, and just having that ability to communicate.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that we could go on all afternoon because you have such great insights to share with so many people, and it's just exciting the work that QPI is doing around birth parents and foster parents co-parenting together, and just and creating support systems. And I think that is what's so important here too, is not only you becoming support networks for each other, but it's also the system becoming a part of the supports. And I think that it's exciting, and I can't wait to hear where all this is going to go. And you guys are just so greatly appreciated for sharing your story with all of our viewers, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much.